The Story of Oedipus, as told by Steph and Amanda. Once upon a time in Thebes, there was a king named Laius and a queen named Jocasta, and their little baby son, Oedipus. King Laius had heard a prophecy that little baby Oedipus would one day grow up to kill him and marry Jocasta, neither of which he was eager to have happen. So he did the most reasonable and totally not at all awful thing he could think of. He left his baby to die on the side of a mountain. Good news, though, someone found him and took him to Corinth, where he was adopted by King Polybus and Queen Merope. Being adopted by a king and queen is the ultimate dream of orphans everywhere, so this would have been a super sweet deal for Oedipus, if it weren't for everything that happened after. One day, when he was grown, the oracle of Delphi told him all about that pesky prophecy that said he would murder his father and marry his mother, but apparently it neglected to mention that it didn't mean Polybus and Merope. Just one of those wacky miscommunications, you know? So, obviously, Oedipus decided he had to get out of Dodge. Or, Corinth. Whatever. He headed for Thebes, but along the way he met an old man and got into a fight, which obviously ended with Oedipus killing him, because what other way could there possibly be to settle an argument with a stranger? Spoiler alert, the old dude was Laius, and Oedipus just fulfilled the first part of the prophecy, though he doesn't know it yet. Life's just funny that way sometimes. Carrying on his merry way, Oedipus encounters a sphinx who has been giving the good people of Thebes a fair spot of trouble, especially since the city was currently kingless, Laius having been mysteriously murdered by some mysterious stranger. But it's cool because Oedipus is a hero, and defeating monsters is like what heroes do. So he defeats the sphinx in the most badass, hero-y way possible. He answers a riddle. And it works! The people of Thebes are so relieved to finally have that jerk Sphinx gone that they make Oedipus their king, which, of course, means he gets to marry the widowed queen Jocasta. You see where this is going, right? Ultimately, they have 4 kids, and everything seems to be going swell, right up until a mysterious plague hits Thebes. The people cry out for their super awesome hero king to put an end to the terrible plague, and word from the oracle is that the only way to do it is to find Laius' murderer and bring him to justice, which Oedipus promises to do because he doesn't know what we know. Of course, as he starts to dig into the matter, he learns some details about Laius' murder that sound kind of familiar and start to make him feel a little uneasy. He finds out that Laius had a servant with him on the day he died, and the servant managed to escape. So Oedipus sends for the servant to come and tell him the whole story and let him know if maybe this whole plague thing is his fault after all. Obviously, this would be a pretty bad day in anyone's life, but somehow it's about to get even worse. While he's waiting for the servant to come and tell him whether or not he's a kingslayer, a messenger shows up to tell Oedipus that his dad, good old King Polybus, is dead. Oedipus is psyched, which is pretty screwed up, but it does mean that the prophecy can't come true. You know, the prophecy where he kills his dad and marries his mom? Yep, that one. He's so happy about his dead father that he just can't help sharing the good news with everyone. Except the messenger who brought the news of Polybus's death is, what a coincidence, the same guy who found baby Oedipus on the mountain. So he knows for sure that Polybus and Merope aren't actually Oedipus's parents. Right around here is where things become just super sad, so you've been warned. By now, Jocasta is feeling pretty uncomfortable because all of this sounds just a little too familiar. She asks Oedipus to just let the whole thing go and stop asking questions. I mean, I'm sure the plague isn't that bad. The people are just being whiny. But Oedipus, who still doesn't realize the truth, insists he must get to the bottom of it. Jocasta, overwhelmed by the horror of the situation, slips away back into the palace and kills herself. The servant who had been with Laius when he died arrives at about this time and confirms for everybody that Oedipus is, in fact, the man who killed Laius. Some dots get connected now, and Oedipus realizes that the prophecy has been fulfilled. He goes to find Jocasta, only to find her lifeless body. Driven mad with the horror and grief, he stabs himself in the eyes with a pin, blinding himself. He asks Jocasta's brother, Creon, to banish him from Thebes, which he does. His daughter-sister Antigone goes with him, and eventually they meet Theseus, who cares for Oedipus until his peaceful death. Which is great for him, but no one else gets that luxury. Oedipus's 2 sons fight over the throne and kill each other in battle. Antigone is buried alive in a stone tomb by order of Creon for trying to arrange for a proper burial for one of them. He changes his mind about it, but not before Antigone hangs herself inside the tomb. Creon's son, who was supposed to marry Antigone, attacks Creon, and though Creon lives, his son kills himself. And finally, when Creon's wife finds out that their son is dead, she also kills herself. And that is the story of Oedipus. Resilient infant, expert riddle solver, incest aficionado. The end.